It all starts at a New Year's party with a man named Dante, who is desperately looking for his fiancée to celebrate the start of the year together. He spots her in the distance talking to a group of girls, so he approaches quickly to give her a kiss, but upon opening his eyes, he is surprised to realize that she is not his fiancée. It was just a girl wearing the same dress. Embarrassed by what he did, he apologizes to her and her friends. He mentions it was just a misunderstanding, but from the expressions on their faces, it is evident they don't believe him. At that moment, his fiancée arrives and slaps him for what he did. And before leaving the party, she ends their engagement. Dante isn't affected by the breakup because he fell in love with Alice at first sight, so he offers to buy her a drink, but she laughs and tells him that they are giving away the drinks for free. Sometime later, Dante and Alice move in together into a house that needs some renovations. When October 26, 2010 arrives, Alice puts on a very beautiful dress and wakes Dante up with a smile because it is his birthday. But seeing the time on his cell phone, he gets up quickly from bed and gets ready to go to work. But not without arguing with Alice for having turned off his alarm. Alice cooks him some pancakes for breakfast, but Dante barely takes a bite because he is seriously very late, and before leaving the house, he takes a box containing some of his dad's things, telling Alice he will stop by in the afternoon to drop it off to him. Upon arriving at the insurance company he works for, he greets all his colleagues and goes to his cubicle to finish organizing some documents. Suddenly, his boss approaches to ask if he has the contract ready for the meeting with investors, to which Dante says yes, but in reality, he didn't even remember he had a meeting. Fortunately, the boss's secretary had done it in advance, so she emails it to Dante and wishes him a happy birthday. Meanwhile, Alice is at home finishing some artwork, and after a few hours she puts on a dress and invites all of Dante's friends to help her organize a surprise party in the garden. However, she receives a call from Dante telling her that he will arrive later than planned because he had to attend a meeting, and right now he is heading to his dad's house. Alice feels a bit sad, but supports him and tells him she will be waiting. Upon arriving at his dad's house, he hands him the box and says he has to go, but the man ignores him completely and starts talking about a beautiful woman he met a few days ago, and then argues with his caregiver because, according to him, she stole a fishing hat. Dante tries to end the conversation, but the man keeps talking about his life while asking him to organize some things for him. Time keeps ticking, and Dante feels increasingly uncomfortable because apparently he doesn't have a good relationship with his dad, and in a moment of desperation, tells him he will visit another day, since for the moment he has many things to do. Before getting in the car, he gets a call from the carpenter who asks him to pick up the door they had bought. After going for the door, Dante calls Alice to say he is on his way home, but he will be late because there is a lot of traffic. Alice apologizes to the guests and tells them Dante is almost there, and after a long time he finally shows up at his surprise party. His best friend, Valerio, congratulates him and helps him install the door in the bathroom, since before they were using a sheet of fabric as a door. Dante asks if he is drunk, to which Valerio says yes, but only a little bit. And in that instant, he takes out an envelope that has tickets to go to an amusement park. Valerio mentions that when they were kids, they used to dream of getting on a roller coaster, so finally they can fulfill their dream. However, Dante tells him he doesn't know when he will have free time, since for the moment he is only focusing on earning all the money he can, so that when he turns 50, he can retire. And he mentions he would like days to last longer, so he could do all the things he likes. Going to the garden, he receives many gifts from his friends, but his favorite is Alice's. She drew him a picture of horses. When the moment comes to blow out the candles on the cake, his friends sing him a birthday song and tell him he must make a wish. A few hours later, everyone leaves, so Alice dresses up as Arwen, a character from Lord of the Rings, and prepares to have a passionate night with Dante. The next morning, Dante wakes up and hears Alice vomiting in the bathroom, So he gets worried and asks if she drank too much last night, but she answers in a sarcastic tone, saying she feels very sick. However, Dante didn't pay attention because he got distracted, noticing that the vast majority of their furniture is completely different from yesterday. They even have a pool in the garden. Alice comes out of the bathroom and asks if he is okay, but he doesn't answer because he is in shock, seeing that she is pregnant. For a moment, he thinks they are playing a prank on him, so laughing he asks where on earth she got that costume, but upon touching her belly, he feels the baby moving. He jumps back and asks how she got pregnant in a single night. Yesterday, they were celebrating his birthday in the garden with friends, but Alice interrupts him and mentions that happened a year ago. Dante doesn't believe her, but upon seeing the calendar, he goes into total panic, realizing it is the year 2011. How is that possible? Yesterday was the year 2010, and no, this isn't like the jokes uncles usually make on January 1st, saying, "I haven't showered since last year." Alice tells him that tonight they won't be able to go celebrate his birthday because she feels very sick due to the pregnancy. Noticing Dante is paler than ever, she asks him to go take a bath and sleep a little. Maybe he is just tired. After taking a shower, he puts on his pajamas and sleeps just a moment. Upon waking up, he gets up quickly to see if everything he had seen previously was just a dream, but accidentally bumps into Alice and hits her stomach, so he worries and asks if the baby is okay. She laughs and says yes, her daughter is playing in her room. Dante doesn't understand what she refers to with that, so he goes to the room next door and sees a baby playing and crying. You know, babies can do many things at once. Dante holds her while Alice prepares his food and repeats to himself that it must all be a dream. But turning to see the calendar, he is shocked again because it is already the year 2012. It seems very strange to Alice that he doesn't call his daughter by her name, so she asks why he is calling her the baby. Dante gets very nervous because he doesn't know how to tell her he doesn't remember her name. So he comes up with playing a game. Both will say the baby's name on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Galadriel. Wait, what did you say? Dante asks why they named her Galadriel, to which Alice tells him it was in honor of the elf from Lord of the Rings. He worries deeply for his daughter because he thinks they will tease her at school for having that name. But Alice says everything will be fine. Besides, he agreed to name her that. Overwhelmed by everything happening, he decides to visit a psychiatrist to have several brain scans done because he fears his dad might have passed down his Alzheimer's. But against all odds, his results come out perfectly fine. Dante tells the psychiatrist that something bad is happening because 2 days ago they were celebrating his 40th birthday, but now he is 42, and every time he wakes up, a whole year has passed, and he remembers absolutely nothing. The doctor asks if he already told his wife what is happening to him, but Dante says no, because he doesn't want to worry her, and clarifies they aren't husband and wife yet, or at least he believes so because he doesn't have a wedding ring. Seeing him so worried, the doctor tells him that after 40, life usually passes too quickly. So it is normal that sometimes he feels life is slipping through his hands. And he also recommends he stop working so much because stress could worsen symptoms. At home, Alice is trying to finish her artwork, but can't concentrate because Galadriel is crying. So she asks Dante to go put her to sleep even if just once, implying he hasn't been very present, and it's most likely because he spends his time at the office. After many attempts, he finally manages to get Galadriel to sleep. But he ended up so exhausted that all he wants is to go lie down in his bed. But remembering that every time he sleeps a year passes, he goes to wash his face in the bathroom, repeating over and over that he cannot fall asleep. But looking in the mirror, he realizes he now has a mustache. And that only means one thing. Yes, he fell asleep and another year passed. Going to the kitchen, Alice prepares pancakes for his birthday. Dante wants to tell her what is happening, but refrains. Hearing Alice say that lately, they've had many problems in the relationship. Well, all the more reason to tell her. especially because he is missing his daughter's childhood, who can now walk and talk. Going to the garden, he sees Galadriel and feels deep sadness because he is missing all the special moments of her life and doesn't know what to do to stop time. In the afternoon, he meets Valerio in a park and tells him he is time traveling, or at least that's what he believes, because the years are flying by. Valerio tells him that some scientists did a time experiment. They took two exactly identical clocks. One they left in Washington, and the other they put on a plane traveling around the world. And when the experiment ended, the scientists discovered the clock on the plane was ahead, so they concluded that the faster a thing moves through space, the faster time passes. Dante tries to process what Valerio said, but can't understand what that experiment has to do with his situation. What a comment! Valerio is very drunk, so he asks him not to pay much attention, but recommends he quit his job because his relationship with Alice is worsening every year that passes. Dante thinks his work is the cause of everything happening, so he heads to the company to speak with the CEO. But crossing the door of his office, his outfit changes to a very expensive suit, and the CEO is no longer there. He asks his colleagues where the director went, but they all laugh and point to the plaque on his office door. Turns out, Dante became the CEO after the old director retired 8 months ago. His secretary, Francesca, goes to his office to give him his birthday gift and thanks him for giving her vacation leave so she could go on her honeymoon with her husband. Dante asks how he became the CEO since he can't remember. Francesca tells him the owners made that decision because he has been the only one who took the job very seriously, and then mentions that they all bought him a birthday cake. It was going to be a surprise, but she knows he hates surprises, so he just has to pretend he didn't know anything. Seeing his cake arrive, Dante tries to smile, but finds it hard because his birthday is a constant reminder that his life is passing too fast and he can't stop it. After work, he gets in his car, mumbling Mr. Dante, and receives a call from Alice. She asks where he is, as she is waiting for him at the therapist's office. He doesn't know what she refers to. He is more lost than anything, but still asks her to send the address with the excuse that he doesn't want to go to the wrong place. Once at the office, he tells Alice it seems crazy they are in couples therapy, but the therapist interrupts and reminds him if they are there, it's because they want to save their relationship. Both do an exercise to describe how they view their relationship. Dante takes a doll representing his daughter. "And that horrendous doll is your daughter? How pretty!" and approaches Alice so they can hug it together, but she gets upset and says that's not how things are. In reality, he spends his time at the office because he is bored being at home with her and their daughter. He has even called her a bad mother just because there are toys on the floor. Dante tries to defend himself, saying he loves them and would never trade them for anything in the world. But the therapist says that is a lie, since in the previous session he had said he loved being at the office because that way no one bothered him. In the midst of the confusion and sadness, Dante tells Alice that the reason he spends his time working is to give them a better life. While she spends her time making little drawings in her studio, Alice is left speechless and simply leaves the office. Dante goes after her to apologize for what he said and mentions he loves her drawings. In fact, he feels very proud of her. But Alice doesn't believe him at all and leaves him talking to himself because she has things to do. Arriving home, Dante finds dozens of toys on the floor and in the distance sees the fridge is full of family photos. In that instant, another year passes. This time, there are no toys everywhere. There is almost no furniture and an overwhelming silence. He calls Alice to ask where she is. He needs to talk to her because he is confused and scared. She tells him she is at the other house where she has been living with their daughter since they separated, but promises she will stop by to visit so they can talk. Ending the call, Francesca comes out of the kitchen office with a burnt pancake and wishes him a happy birthday. Dante asks, why is she wearing a bathrobe? Is he letting her shower at his house? Francesca laughs and gives him a kiss after calling him love. Turns out, for 6 months they have been in a relationship and things are getting quite serious because they already live together and she divorced her husband to date him. At the same time, Alice knocks on the door, so Dante asks Francesca to hide in the bathroom because he needs to talk to his daughter's mom. Alice gets very happy seeing him and tells him a businessman will exhibit her artwork in a gallery. Dante gets very happy for her and apologizes for having drifted away. Moved by his words, Alice says she still loves him and would like to try again, but just then she sees Francesca's shoes. Alice gets upset and mentions she can't believe he replaced her in just a few months. Dante tries to stop her, but Francesca comes out of the bathroom and calls him an imbecile. He ends the relationship with her and asks that if she contacts him again to ignore him completely. However, his plan goes terribly wrong, because when another year passes, he is still with Francesca, who organized a birthday party for him. Dante feels he is going crazy. Well, I also tell you she has a lot of patience. And he breaks up with her again and goes to the garden to ask the guests to leave, except Valerio, since he needs to talk to him. "You are very scary." Valerio tells him that once in a while he sees Alice, and the truth is she seems to be happy. Dante says everything that has happened is his fault, but Valerio says it's not true. He simply changed. Upon passing another year, Dante goes to visit Alice and gets the surprise that she is now dating a trainer named Omar, who has a dog named Philippa and gets along very well with Galadriel. Alice asks him to take Galadriel to the park so they can spend time together, and seeing her after 7 years, he is very surprised because she is bigger. Galadriel tells him she would like to spend more time with him, since the few times she sees him, he is always busy on his cell phone or computer. But despite everything, she loves him very much. After spending several hours together, Dante takes her back home. Omar seizes the moment to inform him that his relationship with Alice is getting very serious, so soon they will start living together. Dante gets very jealous and says that won't be possible because he should be Alice's boyfriend. But Omar gets very serious and says he isn't asking for permission, and then tells him he has known several people who immerse themselves so much in work that they leave aside what really matters. As Toretto would say, family. And to add more drama to the moment, Omar runs off after dropping that tremendous line. Philippa approaches Dante so he can throw her ball, and upon doing so, the dog returns, but bigger since another year just passed. This time, Dante meets with Valerio to talk about Alice. Valerio tells him he is very proud of her because her gallery exhibition was amazing. Dante is very happy to hear that and says they have to go see it, but that leaves Valerio very bewildered since they were present at the opening. But to not look like a madman, Dante pretends he was only joking. He also mentions Omar is not the right partner for Alice. She should be with someone like him. Valerio turns to look at him and asks if he drank something last night, since a couple of days ago he told him Omar was an extremely funny and interesting person and was very happy Alice was with someone like him. Dante can't believe he said something like that, but admits he can't give Alice a good life no matter how much he wanted to, and it is at that moment he decides to stop clinging to the idea of them being together again. Valerio gets very serious and tells him he was diagnosed with cancer. He has been going to chemotherapy sessions, and doctors hope that really helps him improve. Before saying goodbye, Dante asks him to promise they will see each other again, so with a smile, Valerio promises. In the afternoon, Dante goes to the gallery to appreciate Alice's artwork and is very surprised to see she captured her whole life in the drawings. Moments later, he goes to visit his dad and tells him all this time he was trying not to be like him. And this is when we find out the reason they don't get along is because when Dante was young, his dad squandered his whole fortune and that caused him not to give his family a good life, plus he was always absent. His father, immersed in confusion, starts telling him he met a woman named Rosa, whom he has been dating and is very happy because yesterday they were together. Dante realizes he is delusional, so decides to put aside his grudge to spend the last years of life by his side. But just when he gives him a hug, another year elapses, and this time his dad's house is empty because he passed away some time ago. Devastated by the news, he tries to communicate with Valerio, but he doesn't answer. Fearing the worst, he leaves the house to go look for him, but is surprised to see his friend in his car. Fortunately, the chemo worked and he managed to beat cancer. Dante gives him a hug and asks that they go to the amusement park to finally get on the roller coaster. Both spend an incredible day, and for the first time in a long time, Dante feels happy. Determined not to lose more time, he heads to the company and informs all the partners he will use all the vacation days he had never taken. And in front of everyone, he apologizes to Francesca for having treated her badly, but she tells him she doesn't care what happened years ago, since now she is very happy because she has a new partner. Dante goes to Alice's house and asks for Galadriel and her to stay a couple of days at his house to celebrate his birthday. Alice is a bit undecided because she thinks everything will be chaotic again, but finding out Dante will be on vacation for 3 months, she accepts. And before arriving at his house, they stop by a dog shelter to adopt a new one. Dante does everything possible for his family to have an extremely nice night by his side, since he knows the next day will be another year. He asks Alice to stay and sleep. He can stay on the sofa if she doesn't feel comfortable sleeping in her old room, and also offers to talk to Omar so he doesn't get jealous. Later, he takes Galadriel to her room and reads her a story Alice had created many years ago. The next day, Dante gets nervous noticing silence throughout the house. He thinks he lost another year of his life again, but coming out of his room, he sees Alice and his daughter in the kitchen, and looking at the calendar, he gets happier than ever, since it is still the same year. Dante promises Alice that from now on, everything will be better, and he will strive every day of his life to prove it.
If you want interesting movie recaps, like, share, and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.